There's something about the name Denver that lingers, like a shadow in the corner of your mind. It's not just a name, it's a curse, a legacy, a burden that follows you everywhere. You hear it in the wind, in the silence between the words. It's a name that's been whispered over mountains and valleys, carried on the breath of time. And yet, for all its weight, it's a name that feels like a promise of something lost, something never quite reached. Denver is more than a place. It's a feeling, a memory, a name that carries the weight of every person who ever bore it, and the weight of the world that never quite made sense. So what does it mean to be named Denver? Is it fate, or is it something worse, something that haunts you even when you're not looking? We're talking about a name that clings to the edges of a town, like a shadow that never quite leaves. It's not just a name, it's a weight, a history, a curse that lingers in the air. Denver is a name that echoes through empty buildings and half-finished dreams. It's the kind of name that gets whispered in the dark, like a memory you can't quite shake. Denver is a name that feels heavy when you say it, like it's holding onto something you can't quite name but you know is there. It's a name that lingers in the silence between words, in the spaces where people don't speak. A name that has been spoken too many times and never meant to be forgotten. We're not just talking about a town. We're talking about a place that feels like it's waiting for something, someone to come back or never to leave. So what exactly are we talking about? We're talking about a name that carries a weight, a place that holds a silence and a history that never really ends. You think it's just a name, but names carry weight. They echo in the silence between words, in the spaces where you're not speaking, and they shape how you see yourself. Denver isn't just a place, it's a feeling, a place where things fall apart, where the world feels too loud, and where you're always waiting for something that never comes. The weight of a name is not just in what it says, but in what it hides. It's the stories you never tell, the moments you never speak, and the things you never say aloud. Denver isn't just a name, it's a mirror. And when you look in it, you see more than yourself. You see the weight of all the names that came before you, and the ones that will come after. You should care because you're already part of the story. Even if you don't know it, you're carrying the weight of every name that came before you, and every name that's waiting to be born. The name Denver was born in a place where the mountains were jagged, the sky was grey, and the snow never melted. It was a city built on the bones of the land, and the people who came to it carried the weight of the West in their pockets. In the 1800s, Denver was a town of promise and peril. Miners came chasing gold, and settlers came chasing dreams, but the ground beneath them was not forgiving. The name Denver became a symbol of ambition, but also of loss. By the 1950s, Denver had grown, but it had not changed. The name Denver had become a part of the city's identity, and the people who lived there carried its weight like an unspoken curse. They were the ones who had built the city, and the ones who had been left behind. The name Denver has always been a reminder of what was lost. It was a name given to a place, but it became a name given to people. A name that carried the weight of the past and the burden of the future. And so the name Denver became more than just a name. It became a story. A story of those who came, those who stayed, and those who were never meant to be remembered. Denver's name is like a shadow that follows you, always there, but never letting you feel the sun. You call someone Denver, and suddenly the world feels heavier, like you're carrying a name that never fits. Denver isn't just a name. It's a reminder that some things are never quite right, no matter how hard you try. You want to be someone else, someone who doesn't feel like they're always just not enough. Denver is the name that makes you wonder if you ever truly belong, or if you're just always waiting to be found. Denver was never just a name. It was a weight, a burden passed down through generations, a name that carried the weight of expectations and the echo of failure. It started with the gold, with the promise of fortune that never quite materialized. Denver was built on the backs of those who believed in dreams, but the dream was always just out of reach. The city grew, but so did the shadows. Denver became a place where people came seeking something, only to find themselves lost in the vastness of the unknown. It was never just a city. It was a mirror, reflecting the hopes and disappointments of those who called it home. And for those named Denver, it was a reflection they couldn't escape. The name Denver became a story of unfulfilled potential, of people who tried and failed, of dreams that turned to dust in the wind of a city that never quite delivered. The first step is to name someone Denver. It's a name that clings to the bones like a forgotten shadow. It's not just a name, it's a curse wrapped in a whisper. Then they are born into a world that already knows what they are. It's not a name that invites warmth. It's a name that lingers like the echo of a warning. The world doesn't just forget them, it waits for them. It lingers in the silence, in the looks, in the unspoken judgment. They are never just a name, they are a question. And so the name Denver becomes a kind of ghost, not of the past, but of the present. A name that haunts not because it's strange, but because it's too familiar. It's not the name that defines them. It's the way the world has already decided what they are before they even speak. That's how it works. Step 2, the mechanism. So you think you're safe, you're not named Denver. You're not the one who got stuck with the name that feels like a curse wrapped in a joke. You think you're clever, you picked a name that sounds like a city, like a place, like something that means something. It's not just the name. It's the weight of all the people before you, all the lives that ended up in the same place, the same story, the same quiet defeat. Denver is the name of a city, a place that's always been there, always been overlooked, always been waiting for someone to notice it. And you're part of that story now. You're not just named Denver. You're Denver, and you'll never escape it. There's a frequency, a hum that we can't hear, but we feel it in our bones. It's the pulse of the city, the vibration of the name itself, a low thrum that lingers in the air like a forgotten ghost. The science of it isn't just sound or light, it's something deeper. A resonance that echoes through the marrow, a frequency that makes the blood feel heavier, the breath feel slower. It's not just about the name, it's about the vibration that name carries. A wavelength that has been repeated, amplified, and absorbed into the collective consciousness. Like a haunting melody that never quite fades. There's a truth to this, a scientific truth that isn't just about sound or language, but about how names shape reality, how they become something more than words. They become weight, they become burden, they become hum. We don't hear it, but we feel it. It's the science of being named Denver, the unspoken frequency that lingers in the air, waiting to be felt, waiting to be remembered. Imagine a street lamp flickering in the rain, casting long, weary shadows over a city that never sleeps. It's the kind of light that lingers, but never warms. That's Denver in its own way, always trying to be something more than it is. It's like a book that's been read too many times, its pages frayed, its plot forgotten. Yet somehow it keeps turning. Denver doesn't break, it just keeps going, even when the story doesn't make sense anymore. You could say it's a ghost town, but it's not. It's more like a town that's been haunted by its own name, its own promises, and the weight of all the people who have called it home. And yet there's something oddly comforting about it. Like a lullaby that doesn't quite work, but you keep singing it anyway. That's Denver, in its own way, flawed, stubborn, and strangely endearing. So maybe that's the real joke, not that Denver sucks, but that it keeps trying, even when it's not supposed to. That's the real tragedy and the real humor, in a city that never quite gets to be what it wants to be. You think it's just a name, but Denver isn't just a place. It's a feeling, a weight that settles in your chest like the first snow of winter, slow and inevitable. It's the kind of name that lingers, not because it's memorable, but because it's forgotten. You don't forget Denver. You just carry it like an unspoken promise you never made. You don't need to know why Denver is cursed. You just need to know it is. And that knowledge is heavier than any truth. It's not the name that's wrong, it's the silence that follows. The way it sits there, unchallenged, like a truth too heavy to name. Denver isn't just a name, it's a story that never ends, a truth that never speaks. And that's why everyone named Denver just sucks. You think the name Denver is cursed? That's the first myth. It's not the name itself, but the weight of expectations that makes people named Denver fall short. Denver is a name that's been around for centuries, but it's always been tied to something bigger than a person. It's a place, a symbol, a legacy. The myth is that the name Denver is a burden. But the truth is, the burden is not the name. It's the world that puts it on people named Denver. So the first myth is busted. Denver is not cursed. But the weight people place on a name can be just as heavy as any curse. The myth goes that Denver is a city of contradictions, a place where the past and present clash like a broken clock. But the truth is, Denver is more like a ghost, haunting the edges of history, never fully present, never fully gone. Some say Denver is the Queen City, a beacon of opportunity. But the reality is, it's just another name on a map, a label for a place that doesn't quite belong to anyone. It's a city that's never quite settled. Denver is built on stories, but those stories are often buried beneath layers of dust and silence. It's a city that speaks in whispers, not shouts. And for those who listen closely, it tells a different tale, one that doesn't fit the myth. The myth of Denver is a mirror, reflecting the hopes and fears of those who call it home. But it's not the city that's the problem. It's the stories we tell about it, the ones that never quite add up. You think you're safe, but the name Denver is already in your coffee cup, in your morning news, in the weather forecast. It's everywhere, waiting for you to notice. It's in the names of cities, in the names of people you've never met, in the names of things you never asked for. You can't escape it, not really. Even your phone knows your name. It's in your calendar, your messages, your to-do lists. It's in your life, in your mind, in your blood. You think you're alone in this, but you're not. You're just like everyone else who's ever been named Denver. You're part of a long, dark, lonely line of people who have no choice but to carry it. The name Denver is a weight. It's not heavy, not in the way you might think. It's a quiet, slow kind of pressure that builds over time, that makes you feel like you're always one step behind. So you walk through life trying to be normal, trying to be quiet, trying to be unseen. But you're not. You're Denver and you're everywhere. There was a man named Denver who built a house on the edge of a town, where the silence was louder than the noise of the world. He never spoke to anyone, just worked in the shadows, his hands rough, his eyes tired, like the weight of the world had settled in his bones. He opened it, and the world outside was not the world he had known. It was a place of noise, of expectations, of names that never fit. He tried to fit, but the name Denver always pulled him back to the edge, to the silence, to the place where he belonged. And so, he built his own world, not in the town but in the silence, where he was finally free to be Denver. There's a name that echoes like a warning, a name that brings the storm with it. Denver isn't just a place, it's a curse, a name that carries the weight of every failure, every broken promise. It's not the name itself but the burden it carries. Every Denver who ever lived, every name that came before, all of them, they all ended up falling. It's a cycle, a dark loop of failure and downfall. The record-breaking, cranked to 11 extreme, it's not a title, it's a fate. The name Denver is a label, a brand of disaster, a mark that guarantees nothing but the worst. Every time someone named Denver steps into the world, they're not just born, they're cursed. It's not a name, it's a promise of ruin, of a life that will never be enough. Denver isn't just a name. It's a story, a legend of despair, a whisper of the past that haunts the present. It's not a place, it's a warning. The first crack in the foundation is subtle, a whisper of doubt that lingers in the air like smoke after a fire. It starts with the name, a name that feels like a weight, pressing down on every decision. Then it's the moment the name becomes a curse, a label that follows you through every door, every job, every relationship. You're not just named Denver, you're defined by it. The name becomes a barrier, a reason people hesitate to trust, to connect, to believe in you. It's not just the name, it's the story that comes with it. And then one day it's too late. The name has taken root, and you're left with nothing but the weight of it, the burden of a name that was never meant to carry you. There's a kind of quiet despair that comes with knowing your name is Denver. It's like the city has a history you can't escape, a weight you carry without ever being asked to explain. You're always the last to be remembered, the first to be forgotten. The name Denver clings to you like a ghost, lingering where it shouldn't, haunting where it's not wanted. You're stuck in a loop of expectation and disappointment. Everyone assumes you're supposed to be something more, but you're just here, in the middle of it all, waiting for the right moment to be noticed. There's a kind of loneliness that comes with being Denver. You're always waiting for someone to acknowledge you, but the world just keeps moving and you're left behind. You're not the hero of your story. You're the footnote, the afterthought, the person who never got the chance to be anything but Denver. We sat in the dark, tracing the names of the lost, like ghosts in a ledger, trying to make sense of the pattern that no one else could see. The silence between the names was louder than the names themselves, a void that stretched across generations, whispering of what was never said. The patterns were there, but they weren't easy to see, they were buried in the silence, in the stories we forgot to tell. We tried to understand, but understanding was not the same as acceptance. And sometimes the truth is too heavy to carry. And still, the names kept coming, like rain, like ghosts, like the weight of a name that never belonged to anyone. There's a guy named Denver who got stuck in a time loop, reliving the same day for years. He never left his apartment, never spoke to anyone, just sat in the dark, staring at the ceiling like it held the answers. His phone never stopped ringing. Every call was from someone named Denver, asking for help, but no one ever came. It was like the world had forgotten him, or maybe it had never known him. One day he opened the door. The world outside was bright, loud, and unfamiliar. He tried to run, but his legs wouldn't move. He stood there, staring at the street, as if waiting for someone to finally call his name. The last thing he ever said was, "I'm sorry." No one heard it. No one ever did. And that's why everyone named Denver sucks, because we all end up waiting for someone to finally call us back. What if we didn't just take the name Denver and stick it on a city, but we made it a weapon? A symbol of something we wanted to destroy. Imagine a place where the name was a promise, but the promise was always broken. A place where the very word Denver became a curse, whispered in fear. We could have made Denver a ghost. A name without a place, a city that never existed, but was remembered in the dark, in the corners of the mind. And what if, in the end, we didn't just abuse the name Denver, we let it consume us? We let it become the thing we feared most, the thing we couldn't escape. What if we weren't just named Denver, we were Denver? And the name was never a gift. It was always a trap. You can't compare Denver to anything, not really. It's like trying to measure the depth of a grave with a ruler. It's not a city, it's a wound. A place where the air tastes like regret and the streets remember every name that's ever been lost. Denver isn't a place, it's a weight. You carry it with you, even when you're not there, even when you're nowhere. It doesn't just haunt you, it waits, it watches. And when you're finally gone, it still breathes. So when you hear the name Denver, don't think of a place. Think of a silence that won't end, a story that has no closure. Before you go, if you enjoyed this, please give it a like and subscribe so you don't miss the next one. And tell us in the comments what you'd like us to make next. We read every single one. Thank you so much for watching. Comment this emoji if you made it to the end.